Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim, and our guest today is Mary. So, Mary, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Hi, my name is Mary Lauder, and I live in Denver, Colorado. I have spent the last 6 months about solely focusing on building and creating Virta Mountain Club, which makes women's ski and snowboard apparel. I had always felt like the options for women were a little lackluster when it came to snow, and decided I wanted to do something about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess you were just saying that you just moved to Denver, so I guess it's very fitting for your brand that you're in Denver now.
Yeah, New York was a great place to kind of kick myself in the butt and get things started and start exploring this. And there's just so many, everything's at your fingertips, right, in New York City. But if I really wanted to go deep in this market and I really wanted to understand women who ski and what the trends are, I needed to be in Denver for sure.
So I guess like in terms of just your background, kind of what did you do before this and what made you want to, because one thing to kind of have an idea and see it in me, but to actually go and start the brand is a whole different thing. So yeah, I'm curious about that.
Definitely. Yeah. I have a very winding background that somehow has lent itself great to being a founder. So I started out of college in commercial banking, which I think is a great place in finance to start any career, and started working with a lot of middle market companies and had some get bought by private equity, and just got to see kind of the trials and tribulations that business owners go through. And I spent about 5 years in that, but decided that I really wanted to go deeper into that private equity world and really was interested in transactions and how private equity like really builds and grows, decently profitable businesses. So I went to business school at the University of Chicago and used that to transition from middle market commercial banking into middle market investment banking. And then something really fun happened when I was in investment banking, which is I got put on the consumer team. So prior to this, my whole career, I always just refer to them as like widget manufacturers and companies that made things that like I didn't really understand, but I was like, hey, EBITDA is there. And so it was like, it was a good business. But then if all of a sudden I was working in finance still, but I actually understood the products that the companies were making. But not only that, but I also got introduced to this world of D2C. And so I was in investment banking in like 2020 and 2021 through 2022. And that was really like the golden era, I will call it, of D2C. And that's when like everyone was IPOing and there was just so much money going into the space. And I actually kind of towards the end of investment banking was like, I really love this like marriage of, analytics and numbers on the digital side, but also branding and products on the other side. So I really wanted to go deeper into that. And I really wanted to go kind of operate a business. So I left investment banking to go work for Coty, which you may not know Coty as the large makeup conglomerate. So like its peers would be like Estee Lauder and L'Oreal. But the D2C brands I worked on, everyone knows. They were Kylie Cosmetics and Skin by Kim, which is Kim Kardashian's skincare brand. And then Philosophy, which was like a little bit older generation skincare brand as well. So I got to work across a series of brands that were all in very different spaces and very different ages, and really get to see, it was just like, finance or banking where I got to have like a kind of a portfolio of clients I worked across. And I did strategy and operations for those brands. So already by the time I had gone to Kylie though, or Coty though, I already had this like little twinkle in my head of like, I want to start my own D2C brand, but I knew that I couldn't just like wake up one day and do it. So about 6 months into Coty, I started prototyping a product for women's ski and snowboard apparel. And that's been a very slow process to get through, but I ended up being able to bring a product to market this fall and kind of dip my toes in and just decided, you know what, actually, I want a cannonball. And so ended up leaving Coty and focusing on Virta full time ever since about November.
That's awesome. So in terms of actually making the product. I think it's one of the biggest challenges for any D2C brand is manufacturing, ensuring quality. So how did you kind of like go about that process?
Yeah, it's a brutal process. So, really, what I started with was just buying products that I liked. And whether it's like, I like this pocket here and I like this sleeve here, and buying them and sending them to like my partner in LA and saying, take this, take that, merge it all together. And that was the most successful way for me to bring a product to market. But there's still just so many inputs and it's just like a lot of iterations and very slow.
Did you find manufacturers here in the US or overseas, or how did you kind of find that partner in terms of like location and yeah.
Yeah, so the company I worked with out of LA has a relationship with a manufacturer in China. And so I was like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so I bought just like a minimum order quantity for my bibs from them out of China. And I don't think that that will be who I go back to in the future. I definitely, that's like a goal for the next 12 months is to like build my own relationship with a manufacturer in China, especially as I proliferate my product assortment. But yeah, that's the way I did it for
That's
scale.
awesome. So obviously that your background, as you mentioned, you worked in D2C for a couple of years. So in terms of getting this product out to market, what have you done so far and kind of what is your plan to grow your customer base? And obviously that you're in Denver, so I'm assuming maybe some local events, things like that. But I guess besides that, what do you have in mind?
Yeah, we are just really leaning into a social digital presence. I never thought I would be posting my own TikToks about my life, but it's actually so fun once you get started. And so, kind of doing a little bit of a two-pronged approach where we have like the Virta channels, but then I'm also building out my personal channels. We've seen a lot of creators be really successful in this space, especially in the last like 6 months, a lot of sweatshirt brands kind of coming out. So leaning into that, I feel like people love the founder journey. I mean, we're this podcast exists for a reason, right? So and I was also finding just so many friends were asking me, how did you do that? Who did you talk to? How did you get started? And I was like, if my friends and family are wondering about this, like the internet probably is too. So I just have started to really open up myself to kind of sharing my experience.
Yeah, it's all the time. Like, I have many friends who are always like, I think many people are always curious that they have the idea and they don't really know how to get started. They're like thinking about it, like, and obviously entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but it is something that has been glamorized and glorified, even though it's not something that's like so easy. But sometimes online it looks kind of different than what it actually is in real life.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it's not quite as sexy as the internet makes it look. That is for sure.
So in terms of like getting this brand out there, obviously that you mentioned organic content, sharing your story, things like that. Have you guys done paid media or your partnerships, things like that? Or is that kind of like on your list for later on in this year, for example?
Yeah, we have started by doing paid media on Meta as well as Pinterest. We haven't quite cracked Pinterest yet, but I feel like this product lends itself really well to Pinterest. When I'm planning a vacation, I'm going on Pinterest often and looking for outfit inspiration. And so we want to really meet users where they are when they're looking into what ski town should I go to, where should I eat, where should I stay, what should I wear. So I'm excited for what's to come with us on Pinterest. We've worked with influencers as well with varying levels of success. So as a new brand, you kind of don't have necessarily the cachet that bigger brands have, but it's definitely also evolving for us, I would say.
So in terms of like the content, I mean, do you feel like so you're saying it's kind of varying success? So do you see more success from just like UGC of your customers or even like your own journey in the ads? Like what have you kind of seen in terms of the ads that have actually resonated and converted to
Yeah.
sales?
Yeah. We see a lot of awesome engagement whenever we ski, really. And if I can, and it's easier said than done, if I can get on my snowboard and take a video of myself going down the mountain, that is like really intriguing to people because you have the people who do ski and snowboard, and that, really hits home with them. And they're like, oh, this is what I love to do. But then for those who haven't skied and snowboarded before, I think they're like, whoa, like, this is not, I mean, it's almost like a virtual reality of feeling like you're on the mountain. So it's a very emotional, video. And I've just found it's really resonated with people.
So in terms of your brand vision, like do you view it as being only direct to consumer or do you view it as like a retail play as well or even gift shops? Like where do you kind of see your brand going in the next, a couple of years here.
Yeah, I definitely want to continue to build out D2C and have that be like the true digital flagship where we really teach people about the brand and build community and just like give people like such an experience because like I said, this is just like a very fruitful space for experience for people. But I would love to get on some of these large retailer sites too. I think we would be a perfect fit for Revolve. I also think Rent the Runway would be an awesome option for us down the line. So yeah, no, I definitely see us leaning in there.
What about like physical retail, like a Dick's Sporting Goods or a gift shop and like a ski resort or something like that?
Yeah, ski resorts definitely have like their each town has their own kind of like retailers and like for example, Breckenridge has like a Breck Sports and it's got like a full range of products. I think those would be amazing. I think Christie Sports is another like true ski and snowboard apparel retailer. I think that we could have a lot of fun working with them. So yeah, I definitely want to get into that space more.
So in terms of like, you just jumping into this full time pretty recently, like what has been some of your biggest challenges with running this business?
Yeah, biggest challenges. Oh gosh, I mean, how much time do you have? Just content creation, I feel like is an egg to crack and it's always evolving and really building a digital presence. That's something you have to work at every day. The challenge that I am like really like deep in right now is product development for next year. So we just have the bibs and then a few pieces of merch on the site right now, but I really want to proliferate our product assortment next year and have, pants, coats, thermals, like the whole 9 yards for ski. So I've actually been spending a lot of time on the mountain, like just looking at people and looking at what they wear. And then also like riding the singles line up the mountain, hopefully hoping to get put on a chairlift with women and like politely drilling them with questions of where'd you get that jacket? What made you buy that jacket? What do you like about that jacket? Do you feel like the options are good? What would you like change? So we're really deep into that right now and it's fun, but it can be very overwhelming.
Are you able to have like conversations with customers that have already bought in terms of like getting their feedback as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, at the bare minimum, like a review, but we definitely are sending out email campaigns and we sent out some like a survey talking about kind of what do you guys want to see for summer? What do you like for summer? But then I am due to send out we're already thinking about next year. Tell me what you liked, tell me what you didn't like, and mostly like tell me what you wish was there that you don't see.
So yeah, I guess like in terms of like, on that also, right? So your brand is going to be more like a seasonal brand, or do you think that people will be buying in the off season? I guess what do you kind of foresee for that future?
Yeah, I'm not wanting to run into summer until I have kind of a why for my products, but I think that there is a need for better hiking and biking apparel for women. So I things that are just like not athleisure, not like wear to yoga or wear to train, like something that is built to be hiked in for hours on end. And you look at like the incumbents in that space, Patagonia, North Face, and everything is just like very kind of granola feeling. And I feel like hiking vacations are just becoming so much more popular and just hiking in general that I think that there's a real like there's white space there for sure.
100%. So if we're going to have this conversation again in 1 year from now, where do you see things going for your business?
Yeah, I really hope that we are able to execute a full product assortment next fall through next winter. And we're able to just have an absolute blast next winter marketing it and sharing the story with people. And not just like, talking about us, but also like getting girls out on the mountain and getting them to enjoy their time skiing and snowboarding, just getting more women to enjoy, the outdoors.
That's awesome. So, in terms of, starting this business, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, or as you mentioned, that you have not been doing it for that long, but if you could go back in time to before you got started, right, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
Just go for it. I feel like I spent a lot of time, it was hard to be working a real job and doing this on the side. And so you spend so much time being like, okay, let me just do like the bare minimum here. Let me just dip my toe in. Let me just do a little bit. And it's like anytime I've done that, I've always looked back and been like, I should have gone all in. I should have, it's easy to say now that I am literally all in 100% committed to building this, but it's just, are you doing it or are you not? And the answer is I'm doing it. So
For sure. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you or to find your brand, do you mind sharing your socials and website for somebody
definitely.
to find you guys?
Yeah, yeah. So on socials, we're under Virta Mountain Club. So that's Virta, Verta. And then you can find me on socials under my name. And then our website is virtamountainclub.com. So, and there is a support email there if anyone wants to reach out. Would love to hear, I mean, an email, but also DMs, comments. We'd love to hear what you guys want to see and what, you feel like is missing.
Awesome. Well, Mary, thanks so much for your time today.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.